Dr. Lee Rook in distress number 70892, please.
Hi, I'm looking for Don Schultz. Oh, hello, Ms. Schultz. The reason I'm calling is that we have received an alert from a emergency position indicating radio beacon that is registered to a 32-foot sport fishing vessel that your husband owns. Is that correct? Okay, he's out fishing. How many people on board?
Operations Center.
Hey, how's it going? Need to get the Ready 60 airborne. We've got a SARSAT alert for a sport fishing vessel, the Emma C. We've got a composite position for the EPIRB going off. I've got a latitude and longitude of 36 degrees, 06.
The search and rescue staff on duty will assess where it is, what it might likely be, and what's the best response, and they will then coordinate whatever is the best response for the time. That may be a helicopter if it's close by, it may be a ship if it's well out to sea. They'll work that out for each individual circumstance.
From a rescue coordination center perspective, their role in search and rescue is almost as if they are detectives. They try to get as much pieces of information to try to create a picture of what actually happened. So they're trying to recreate what's going on out there in the field based on limited information. What SARSAT does, it really helps fill in a lot of the holes in these situations. Because you may have, say, a vessel is overdue. That puts you in sort of an uncertainty phase. You don't really know if that person's in distress or not. Now if you have a vessel that's overdue and now you have a 406 beacon alert attached to that vessel, now you know that things are in a dire situation and you need to render assistance to that individual. So the more information you can get, which SARSAT provides a lot of information to the rescue coordination centers, the better you could paint that picture.
As search and rescue technicians, we could have a mission over water, we could have a mission under the water, we could have a mission in the mountains, on the plains, in the foothills, in the forests, in the open. So, if you can imagine, if there's an area hundreds of kilometers, even though we have aircraft and they can move quickly, locating them is going to be very difficult because we have to cover the entire area in which they could potentially be. So having a beacon on the ground or on the water, that's signaling we can get close and then zero in on where the location of the people are. There's typically a name and a phone number attached to it that the people at RCC can get a hold of. We don't like to go in unprepared, so knowing location, what kind of terrain they're in, what kind of equipment we're going to need to access the site is certainly important. And then when it comes down to the individuals on location, if we can get medical information early, then we can bring the proper medical equipment down to the site and make the whole thing a lot faster.
We assume that every distress signal is real, so we forward every distress signal to rescue coordination centers. And from that point, the rescue coordination centers start what we call communication search. So we try to reach the owner or the operator of that kind of beacon, an ELT or EPIRB or PLB. And from that point on, if we make sure that this is a real alert, we quickly activate one of our assets to deal with the distress signal. And it has to be done very quickly. In Brazil, we have 22 million square kilometers that represents our area of responsibility for search and rescue service. Cospasarsat is an important tool to make sure that everything is okay.
So once we've received the data for a 406 beacon, then it's full go, full steam ahead. So then, depending on where the position is, if it's very, very close inshore in UK, we can just task the local lifeboat, we can task the helicopters to effect the rescue. It's a different scenario when the beacon incident is mid-Atlantic and it's a 4-hour flight and there's no vessels in the area, so you have to coordinate that incident much differently. But the great thing with the beacon is the beacons continue to transmit. So as long as it's transmitting a good 24, 48 hours, as long as it's updating the positions all the time. So the position data is very, very critical. There's a lot more offshore that the incident is. Sometimes quick incidents could, 2 miles from shore be over in an hour, very, very easy. But the ones which take a bit of thinking about is attracting the vessels 2,000 miles into the Atlantic. That's a different ballgame. But the beacon still transmits, and that's what we want.